Hare Krishna. Apologies for not being online yesterday. I was really unwell. I have two questions here from Varsana. She says, is the hierarchy between Srila Prabhupada's writings, books, letters, walks, etc., do they have the same value? Well, prior to about a year ago, I said no. Now I say no. Nothing's changed. Just the reason for saying no has changed. It was always understood that Srila Prabhupada's books are top priority. And that may be followed by Srila Prabhupada's lectures, and then informal things such as walks and talks, and then even letters fall into another category. However, just over the period of this year, then I've also, it's available on Folio, but I've also seen two important instructions from Prabhupada. One is, and this dates back really long back, to 1969, in a letter where Srila Prabhupada says that his letters should not be circulated. He said they are private, they are confidential, and they will cause confusion. Another one is the year of Srila Prabhupada's passing, 1977, in which Srila Prabhupada replies to a devotee who wants to transcribe Prabhupada's lectures and other talks and correlate that with his books. Prabhupada said, don't do it. He says it's not necessary. Again, he said it will cause confusion. He says, whatever I wanted to say, I've said in my books. So that doesn't mean that other things that Srila Prabhupada said are not relevant or that are not important to us. But certainly when there's an issue of conflict between them, then it's always very clear that this is where we go to. We go to Srila Prabhupada's books, and Srila Prabhupada's books become the ultimate authority. Then she asks, Varsana asks, do I have any personal advice about studying Srila Prabhupada's books? Well, a long time ago, now this goes back more than a year, this goes back to almost 25 years. Before I started writing books, I used to study systematically. In fact, just the other day I was going through some of my Bhagavad Gita's, Bhagavad Gita editions that I have here. I have about 7 or 8. Those are all English. And in 2 of them, a very small one and a very large one, I have notes all the way throughout, written in pencil. And so I used to systematically study both Bhagavad Gita, Ishopanishad, and then I tried Bhagavatam, but generally I ended up getting caught up in the first canto, 2 cantos. So I can't really say that I've systematically gone through Srila Prabhupada's books, and that is my lamentation. That doesn't mean that I haven't systematically studied them. Of course, I've read them, but I consider reading something more than just studying. I mean, I've read Prabhupada's books. Again, prior to writing, I probably read Srila Prabhupada's books 10 times. But prior to, once I started writing, I was able to actually really study. But my studying was thematic. And I've done other thematic studies since then of Srila Prabhupada's books, instructions, or creation, origin of Jiva. These are books I didn't, these are topics I didn't write books on. But then as soon as I started studying and writing, excuse me, then I started studying in a very directional way. When I was, well, Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani was one really broad concept of studying what is actually Bhakti Yoga. And that really gave me a good overview of Gita, especially Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Then this current book, Sankalpa Kaumudi, this is in the same vein. It also required a lot of general study, now more specific than Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani. This is about how you make steps in sadhana bhakti. And then other books such as, I don't know, Venu Gita and so on. Then immediately I'm confined to there's the 21st chapter of the 10th canto. And so I'm studying that, and I'm studying what acharyas say, and so many, and of course what Srila Prabhupada says, and so many commentaries. That's extremely instructive, particularly on that topic, but it stretches across a lot of other philosophical points. And it's been like that. I would, and I don't think I will have time in this life to study all of Srila Prabhupada's books in a very systematic way, like I used to study books in engineering university. I would like to study Jiva Goswami's different sandarbhas, all of the sandarbhas. I really have quite a in-depth familiarity with Bhakti Sandarbha because I refer to it so much. And sometimes for me to just write on a topic, I have to actually read books. So I read many books. And out of those books, I then again select topics that are relevant, or passages that are relevant to the topic that I'm studying. So that's my experience. Any advice? I've always advised Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Nectar of Devotion can overlap. Yes, devotees should study. You can study two at a time, an hour in the morning, hour in the evening, and of course there are excellent study guides. I went through one study guide, which was Burijan Prabhu's overview of Bhagavad Gita, and that was a great experience, extraordinary experience. I've seen others. For instance, for Nectar of Devotion, I always refer to Damodar Swami Maharaj's Waves of Devotion. Practically speaking, it's really hard to understand Nectar of Devotion without that book, at least for me. It's a real bridge between Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Nectar of Devotion. Excellent. And now we have so many other Bhagavatam overview and so on. So those are good places to be, I was going to say, but who's going anywhere nowadays? But to at least connect online if they're being taught online. And that's it for today. Varsana, thank you. Hare Krishna, Glory to Prabhupada.